Hello and welcome. My name's Chris. This is the first part of the GameMaker part of this awesome air hockey section. So what I recommend that you guys do is that you download GameMaker Studio on your Steam, or you can potentially get it from the site if you want to. Anyway, this is what happens when you launch it. So you click launch and it comes up with this box and it asks you if you want to play games or make games. If you click on the play section, it will show you games that other people have made in GameMaker, and it pretty much shows you what it's actually capable of. If you click on the make section, this is the bit that we actually really want to use. And when you click the make section, it should load, hopefully. And just a moment. Here we go. Right, what comes up here is the welcome screen. As you can see, I've got projects in the bottom here which I've been working on in the past. Then you've got other sort of tabs that are kind of useful. So you've got open, so if you want to open a specific project. You've got new, which is the one that we're going to use in a minute. You've got import. You've got release notes, which tell you about bug fixes and stuff like that, which is this. Demos, which is like tech demos and things that you could possibly look at if you wanted to learn something specific about GameMaker. Tutorials for beginners, which is kind of what I'm covering really. You've got news, and you've got licenses. So what I want to do is go to new, and then in the directory that's chosen to you, just create a new like file name. So we're going to call this air hockey, if I can spell, 001. Okay. The reason we're going to use like a 00 sort of prefix is in case that we use multiple. Obviously, probably not going to use 100, but you know, who knows. Anyway, click on create, and what it will do is it will load up a new editing suite. This is basically what GameMaker looks like when it first opens. So along this side, which I'm probably going to zoom into to make this a little bit easier. At the top here, we've got sprites, sounds, backgrounds, paths, scripts, shaders, fonts, timelines, objects, rooms, included files, extensions, and macros, and then some other stuff at the bottom. What this is basically is the asset. This is basically how GameMaker manages its assets. So what a games engine is basically a software in which you put assets into in order to make games. So the things that we're going to basically start with right at the beginning is we're going to start with sprites. So sprites are the graphical elements that we need to put into our games. So I remember from the presentation that I did before, we need to create several sprites. Okay, so the way you do this is right click on the folder and do create sprite, and then you'll get a sprite window thing pop up. By default it's called sprite 0. Yeah, we need to rename this to what we're going to call our sprite. So we're going to leave SPR there and then do underscore and then write puck. And we're going to do that all in lowercase. The reason why we basically keep this sprite prefix here is in case like we need to reference it in code, and it's really just a good habit to get into at the beginning. Yeah. Next, we need to basically create our sprite. So what we're going to do is going to click on Edit Sprite, and then you get this Edit Sprite window come up, and it's basically full of nothing at the moment. What this is used for usually is to show like animation sequences and stuff. But what we're going to do is going to click on this sort of blank page icon, which if you mouse over it says create sprite, and it asks you for the dimensions of what you want to create, and these dimensions are in pixels. Okay, so the size of our puck is going to be 64 by 64. Oops. And going to click OK, and it's going to give you this swatch. Yeah. This sort of checkered pattern there. And what you want to do in order to edit this, you need to double click on it and it will open up the editor. So this is not too dissimilar from like MS Paint. I'll just scale it up so you can kind of see it a bit better. Okay, so it's kind of got like the same sort of stuff as Paint with some extra features really. Alright, so what we're going to do is going to create our sprite. And because we're going for that sort of pen and paper look, we want to make sure that it actually looks kind of similar, kind of as if it was drawn, you know, straight up. Okay, so what we're going to do is going to change to this this airbrush sort of thing, so it kind of looks like maybe crayon or something. Going to click this middle size here, and then I'm going to use like a blue color. And what you want to do is you want to just draw probably draw it a bit better than that. Let me zoom in. If you use the mouse wheel, you can sort of zoom in to see what you're doing a little bit better. But I want to draw like as if like you've just gone around and around and around with like a crayon or something like that, and just kind of have like, oh shit, not like that really. Okay, like that, sort of some sort of weird blob concoction. In fact, probably going to just do that again because it looks rubbish. Alright, so what you want to do here is just draw on here, so just around like that. Okay, and once you got that, that's going to be like the basis for our sprite. Don't worry that it looks kind of rubbish, it's just a placeholder graphic. And then click on this little tick box here, and that will save it. And then you can see it's in our edit sprite section, and if you click on the tick box again, then it will move on to the next section. So what we've got here is we've made the sprite for it, which is like a really crude sort of circle thing, and then basically we've got it ready for use, basically, kind of. Alright, so next thing we want to do is we want to move the origin point. So I'll explain what origin does in the future, but I kind of just want to get on with the tutorial really. So if you click on center, it moves the origin point to the center, and you can see this little crosshair thing's moved into the center of our sprite. And then click on OK. Right, next we want to create like a paddle. So we're going to go to create sprite again. In this one, I'm going to call it SPR_pad. And going to go edit sprite again, new sprite again, and then these dimensions we want to be 9696. Okay, so height, width, and height. Double click on this one. So the paddle or our pads are going to be slightly bigger than our puck, so we can see what we're doing a little bit easier. Select a red color. Still using this sort of spray paint thing. I'm going to draw like a circle, and then like a smaller circle in the inside. Alright, and this is going to be our pad thing. Likewise, don't worry that it's crude, it's basically kind of towards the art style that we're going for, but in the future we're going to replace this with something that probably looks a lot better. So click on the tick and click on the next tick, and then basically on this if you center the origin again and then click OK. So center this bit here and then click on that. Alright, so we've got one pad now, and then the next thing we need to do is we need to create like a boundary to stop like the puck from going off the screen. So if you go to create sprite, call this SPR_wall, and then do edit sprite, do new sprite, and rather than change these numbers, 32 by 32 is fine for us. Double click on it, and we want to set this to like a solid color, yeah? So I'm going to probably pick green, and I'm going to use the paint bucket tool, and I'm going to fill it in solid green, and then click tick and tick. Alright, unlike the other two sprites that we've created, this time we don't want to center the origin, we just want to leave it in the top corner. So this and this should just say 0, 0, and that's what we want. Okay, click OK on that. Alright, the next thing we want to do is we want to create the field in which basically the game kind of displays on. So on the next bit, go to backgrounds, right click on backgrounds and do create backgrounds. This we want to call BG underscore, and I'm just going to call it game, and then do edit background. And what it does is it basically jumps straight into the editor, and it gives us this really small 64 by 64 screen, which is much too small for what we want to use it for. So this one we're going to go to file, we're going to go to new, and then it comes up with the options that we want. Okay, so the size of our game that we're going to create is going to be like 720p, like HD 720. So we want to use that resolution. So our width is going to be 1280, and our height is going to be 720. And click OK on that, and it will give us like a sort of screen size that you can see. I'm just going to try and give myself a little bit more size of what I can see on there. Alright, so I'm going to scroll back with the wheel so I can zoom out so I can kind of see the whole level at once. And maybe just move it a little bit more. So that's kind of fine for me. Alright, I want to fill it in with a solid colour, so I'm going to pick like a really light blue. So the lightest blue I can see in the little swatch section. Maybe probably that one even. And then fill it in blue. So it kind of looks like ice. I know we're not really making ice hockey, but you know, it looks kind of nice. Select like a greyish colour, like a dark grey, and then change back to the airbrush tool again. Is it airbrush? Yeah, spray paint. Alright, with this we want to crudely draw out our sort of air hockey table. We don't want to use the full screen because at the bottom down here we want to have like a scoreboard. So what I'm going to do is just going to draw across. Oh, that's rubbish. Okay, I'm going to draw down, and if it looks rubbish then do Ctrl Z and just sort of replace it. And down. It's really difficult, I think. Okay, and then across. Sometimes it's hard to draw things that look rubbish, which is something that's quite weird to say. Alright, then I want to divide it in half, and then I want to divide it into like quarters. Well, that's a really weird quarter. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect because remember we're kind of drawing this in the back of a maths book as if like gonna play a game, yeah? You can kind of eyeball it. I think this is a little bit weird, so I might change that in a minute. Then I want to draw a circle in the middle, like for the center bit. Then I want to draw an X so I can mark where the center spot is, and that looks rubbish. Okay, and then on the sides we want to draw like where the goal mouth is, yeah? So try and match it up as best as you can. So if you match it on one side, you can match it on the other side, so you can sort of roughly eyeball where they are, yeah? And potentially there. Okay, and note that was a bit of size difference there. Yeah, it's probably close enough. Alright, so I've got this space down the bottom for in case I want to basically fill it in with something else. I'm going to just sample this background colour so I can just clean this up a little bit because I think I've made a bit of a mess. So I'm going to use a bigger brush. Maybe it's like a bug of being super zoomed in or something, I don't know. Anyway, I might zoom out then. There we go. Okay, so I got my game screen drawn. The next thing is we need to create somewhere for all of this stuff to go. So I'm going to create a room. So right click, create room. I should zoom in for this bit because this makes more sense. Okay, so I'm going to call this rm underscore game. And then you remember when we changed the resolution, we're going to change the resolution again on this. So this is going to be 1280 by 720. Oops, shit, that's not right. 720. Okay, there we go. We're going to leave the speed at 30. This kind of helps us when we go to run the game. Then next, I'm going to go to backgrounds, and I'm going to load on the background. So go to backgrounds tab inside of the room, that is, and then in where it says 0 background, go to bg underscore game, and then it will load it into the game. Okay, and then just close it again. Right. The next thing that we need to do is we need to create objects for the sprites that we've just created. So we're going to quickly do that. So do create sprite. Create object, and then in here call it obj underscore, and then puck is our first one. And then in this sprite section here, just underneath where you've written that, select puck, and then basically puck's properties are assigned to this. The puck sprite is assigned to this object, which we can use in our room. Then create another one. So create objects and do obj underscore pad, and this one's going to be pad 01. Later we're going to add a pad 02, but first we want to get pad 01 working. So pad 01, and then select pad as our sprite and click OK. And then after that create another object, so obj underscore wall, and then select the wall sprite and click OK. Alright, let me just zoom out for this part. Okay, so I'm going to open up the room, and then inside the room, this is where we're going to assign our sprites into the level itself. So you go into room, and then you go to where it says objects tab, and then in this bit here inside the objects you have like a little drop down menu which you can select. So first of all we need one puck, so grab the puck and you sort of drag it around into the right position. So we want to drag it onto the X because that's basically where it's going to start. Then we're going to go to pad, and we're going to put the pad on this first line here. I mean, it sort of grid snaps, so it's not exactly, it's very, I mean, it's not going to be perfectly in the right place, but it's going to be close enough, which is fine. And then what we want to do is we want to get the walls, alright, and we want to put a wall in here, and rather than paint like a million walls going around, which is really inefficient, we want to get one wall, put it roughly into position, like it can be over the line, it's not that, it doesn't matter that much, and we want to grab the bottom, say right hand corner of it after you've positioned it in the top corner, and drag it along. And don't worry if it sort of looks like it's disappeared. While you've still got the mouse button held down, you can sort of drag it a little bit. You can move it up and down afterwards, after you've drawn it, yeah. Then I want you to put one at the bottom. Like, make sure you do it, you know, you're always going to drag from the bottom right hand corner, because if you drag from the other ways it kind of doesn't work, yeah. So position that there. Oh, I've drawn that line really wonky. Anyway, alright, then we want to have another one at the top corner, and then we're going to drag it down. We want to drag it down to roughly where the goal mouth is, and then another one for the other side there for the goal mouth, and then back to this side, one in the top corner there, and then drag it down to roughly where the goal mouth is, and then one there. So we want to match up as best as possible either side of the goal mouth, so they're roughly the same amount of squares. So one player doesn't have a bigger goal mouth than the other. So let's count this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe this one needs to be a little bit bigger. Let's delete that a second and drag it down an extra square. And then these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, yeah. So even though it doesn't quite match like the screen, it's fine for this because you know, it's a fair game at the end of the day, and that's all we really want. And we're going to click the little tick box. Alright, what we're going to first of all do is going to open up our puck, and basically going to make our puck do something, yeah. So this is the let me zoom into it a little bit. This is our sort of objects window, yeah. And in our object window, it's sort of broken into two separate sections. So you've got events, and then you've got actions, yeah. So if I click add event, the add event bit here, it lets you add, you know, like something that the object's waiting to do or does at the start, yeah. So first one that we're going to do is going to click on create, and what a create event does is as soon as the puck is created inside of our game, which is probably in the first frame of our game, we want it to start doing something. If we don't have a create, then it won't start doing something, okay. So first thing we want to do is go into this section here where it says move, and this is for the actions, yeah. So this is the drag and drop section. So we've got move, we've got main 1, main 2, blah, going all the way down with different things in it. But we want to go to where it says move, and we want to grab this first move here where it says fixed move, and drag it into the action section, and it gives us these properties on our fixed move thing. It has a speed, and then it has a direction, and the direction that we want to do is the top direction or the bottom direction. Actually, just the top one's fine. And then the speed that we want to set it to is going to be speed, say 4 for now. Okay, so 4, and then we're going to click OK. Alright, now what's going to happen is if we run our game again, the second we start running it, then our puck's going to start moving, and we're going to find our first glitch of our game. So I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to click on playtest, and hopefully this doesn't lag out so much. Alright, that was pretty quick. Okay, we can see our puck's moving, and then it gets to the wall, and it just rockets off into space, and it's kind of like, I don't want to live on this planet no more. Okay, so what we want to have here, well, you can guess, but first of all, we want it to, when it hits the wall, we want it to bounce and do something, yeah. So I'm going to add that behavior to the puck. So back to our puck, if we can open it up. Inside of here, we want to have basically a collision, yeah. So we go to add event, and then click on the collision section where it has a collision, and you click on there, and all we want it to collide to is the wall. So fairly simple enough. So just zoom in again because I don't know if you can see it very well. So just to do that again, just delete that event. Okay, so we're going to do add event, collision, and then select wall, and then when it collides with the wall, we want it to bounce basically off there. So there's inside of the section here where it says jump, there's like bounce one, basically looks like a K, and if you drag that into the actions, it asks us how we want to set up our bounce. So basically not precisely is fine for us, and then if we select this to all objects, so anytime it hits a wall object, and it'll basically bounce. So make sure you select all objects, okay, and then do OK, and then OK again. And then if we play our game, so click play, just maybe, do I need to be zoomed in? I don't know, let's find out. Okay, yeah, it'll get all the way up to there, and it will bounce off, and it sails past our player, and it looks like it goes to there and bounces all around. So it's going to just bounce around the screen for a little bit. Obviously it's not moving very fast, but that's something that we can basically improve on in the future. So I'm just going to zoom out and I'm going to close this window. Okay, so potentially the next thing that we want to do is we want to make our player be able to do something, otherwise we're going to watch the world's most boring screensaver forever. Okay, so I'm going to open up the pad, and the pad we need to set up some controls for this. Okay, and I'm just going to pause the video here. Alright, just carrying on from there, what we want to do on our pad first of all is we need to have some way to control it. So thinking back to the presentation, we had player 1, which is what this one is, and it's going to be moved with the W and S key, yeah? So we're going to do add, and then we want to go to, I think keyboard press, I think that's where I had it on. We want to go to, from keyboard press down to where it says letters, and we want to click on W, which is going to be our up key, okay? And then we want to use the fixed move, which is up, and we want to set it to, I don't know, like 3 or something, just to test that it works. So we've got 3 for up. Then what we want to do, in order to basically speed this up, we can go to the one that we just created in the events, right click on it, and go to duplicate event. Then it will ask us which event we want to use, so we want to use another key press. We want to go down to where it says letters, and we want to click on S, so we want to find S in there. So we've got S, and then inside of the action that we have, it will have a duplicate of the action that we had before, and instead of up, we want to disable that one, and we want to click down. So basically we've got 2 directional movements that we can use, and I just want to quickly test this, okay, just to make sure that I've done the keys right and they're the way that they should be. Okay, so I can move up and I can move down. Yeah, at the moment we've got no collision with the player, with the puck, so it's just going to pass through us, and we've also got like no way of stopping when we get to a wall. Alright, so we've got this kind of like up and down slidey movement, which is kind of what I want to have for this air hockey game, because you know when you play air hockey everything slides around anyway. Okay, so just let me close that. Okay. Alright, so what we want to do on our, oops, I'm opening everything now, apparently. On our paddle, what we want to do is we want to change something on it. We want to set it to solid. So on the pad, click the solid button, yeah, or the solid tick box. And then going back to the puck, we want to add another event. So add event, collision again, and then with pad 01. And then we want to put in another bounce. And then this time, instead of doing all objects, we just want to do solid objects, and click OK. If I quickly test the game once more, what we should have is the pad. The pad should be able to like ricochet this off and push it around a little bit. Obviously, we can still go straight through a wall, which is not super fun. But at least we know that the collision between the puck and the pads work. Okay. Basically, when you're making games, you're kind of making it step by step, and you're testing everything as it happens and improving on it as you see fit. So you test, and then you find a bug, and then you think, "Ooh, what can I do to fix that bug?" And then you basically sort of fix it. Yeah. All right. So we need to have another collision between the pad and the wall. So go to add event, collision, wall, and then when it collides with the wall, we want to have another move. And we want to set it to have it set to 0, and then in the directions bit we just want to have this little middle button ticked, and that's going to sort of stop us from moving into Oh, actually, I think I missed something. Alright, yeah, we want to have on... no, I think that's fine. Okay, yeah. If I test that, hopefully when I go to the wall, I should just stop, and it should stop my movement. So I'm going to knock that away, and then I can't go through the wall. And then going back down again, should be restricted on the bottom wall as well. Alright, so that's pretty much how we want that to look, yeah? For now anyway, we're going to add more stuff to it anyway. Alright, let's make our game a little bit more exciting. And going to go onto our puck, and on the create bit we're going to speed it up a little bit. So it's set to 4, let's set it to like 6 just to see how that goes. And then on our pad, sorry, we're going to change the speeds of these. So in the S section, change that to like 4, possibly 5. Actually 5 for now, and then 5 again. And we're going to quickly test how that looks. So the puck should be bouncing around really fast, and the pad should be sort of moving a little bit faster as well. Okay, it's not super fast, but anyway, it's a little bit more responsive. And eventually that puck will come back. Maybe we should speed that up a little bit more. Anyway, let's just make the other paddle, and then we can end this tutorial here, and we will move on to the next one where we sort of improve everything. Alright, so in order to make another paddle or pad, go to the object section, right click on pad 01 and do duplicate. So click on duplicate and it will give us a new version of it. Then we want to change it to obj. Let's zoom in because I need to sort my resolution out or something. Right, pad 02. And then we just want to update some things on this. So rather than having to reprogram everything from scratch, we're just going to change a few little parts on it. So where it says S, so S is going to be down. So right click on that and do change event. Click on key press and then click on down. And then for the up key for for W, right click on that, do change event, key press and then push up and do OK. Alright. Now we've got 2 pads, we need to add the second pad to our room, which is quite important. So going to go to the object section, click on pad 02, make sure it's pad 02, otherwise they'll both be controlled by the same thing. And I'm going to just put it into the room like that. Alright, quickly one last test of the game. Let me zoom out so I can see what I'm doing. So we've got up and down on this one, and I've got this one on this one. Don't worry that they kind of like stick into each other, because this is kind of a bug that we're going to fix in the future. But for now we've got like a really... oh, oops, that needs a collision. Yeah, so we need a... yeah, so yeah, it's going to be really crude for now, and then we're going to fix everything. Okay, so the one thing that's missing is on our puck, we've got a collision with pad 01, but we need a pad 02 collision. So just going to duplicate this. And going to change it to a collision again with pad 02, and it's basically because we duplicated it, it's got the same like information stored within it. Okay, and then that should work when you guys test it. Anyway, this concludes my first tutorial on this, and then we're going to move on to the second one where I go into a little bit more detail about how to improve it and actually make it a playable game. Alright, thank you.